I would like for you to slow down and zoom in and really notice what are the things in you that happens just before everything falls apart. Because it's not happening in one setting. It's not happening at one time, everything at the same time. That's not how it is. It's not how we experience it, at least. We start to have things amping up in us. It can be a contraction. It can be somebody that throws you a surprise something. I mean, I for one hate that. And that gives me a feeling of unsafety. Because I know that I need things to be in a certain way, when things are not like that, then I feel unsafe. So it's not that I'm trying to push myself into feeling unsafe. It's more that I acknowledge that I feel unsafe. And then I calm my nervous system. I know that I'm very prone to feeling fear and feeling unsafety. So when I feel it, that contraction in my body, I immediately stop everything. I slow down and I zoom in and I just stay with that. I breathe into the tension that I feel in my body and keep saying to myself, it's okay, I'm here, it's okay. I didn't have those parents when I was a child telling me that. So I need to be my parent now and telling me now, soothing me now, calming me now. And when you, first of all, just acknowledge this is how it is and that is okay. That takes a lot of the tension and fear out of the situation, because one of the reasons that a fearful situation can feel even more fearful, even more threatening, it is that a part of us believes that this is going to last. This is how it's going to be always. And it's not. Impermanence. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts for a long time. Everything is constantly shifting and shaping and changing. So that feeling of fear that you have in your body, that's just a label you put on it, saying that this is fear. This is how fear feels. If you really, really breathe into it and you're completely okay, you tell yourself, I'm okay. This is okay. Then you can start to notice that even that changes all the time. Fear is not the same feeling all the time. It is constantly merging and shifting and changing and being experienced differently. And when you notice that and you are okay with that, and you are with that aliveness that is happening, or whatever thought is coming up, you just, put the thought aside, allow the thought to be as it is, let it dissolve, and just come back to your body and notice, how does my body feel now? And if you immediately have a thought, I'm still fearful, know that that is a thought. Is that actually experienced right now in your body? How does it actually feel? Where is that tension? Where is that contraction? What can you breathe into and be okay with that is arising right now? There are small signs showing you that you are beginning to feel unsafe in a certain situation. And that is happening way, way, way before you actually feel fear or you feel unsafety. And that is why I want to talk about the words. Because if you have some sentences written down, and whenever you say that sentence or you think that sentence, you immediately have a little floodlight in your mind shining, a spotlight on how it feels to be in your body right now. You will notice that undercurrent of fear, it's there all the time. And it's like peeking its head up, even when you're not aware. So it's kind of like a cheat sheet to a sensory experience in your body. So when you hear yourself saying these sentences, I would like for you immediately to breathe, feel into your body. How does it feel to be you right now in your body? And you might go like, I can't feel fear at all. Look closer. I'm not talking about the label of fear. I'm talking about the sensation in the body. Is there a recognizable contraction somewhere? Is there a tension somewhere? Is there a buzzing somewhere that usually is tied in with fear or anxiety or OCD? Because OCD is fear. Underneath OCD, you have fear. And then you can breathe into that, expand that, tell yourself, this is okay. You're okay. I'm right here. You're safe. Everything is fine. Breathe and then go back to what you were doing. When you hear yourself think these sentences or think this or say this, notice, what is it right now that I think I am omniscient about, that I know what will happen next? And you can very clearly see that obviously you don't know what will happen next, but you have a fear about what you hope will not happen or what you fear might happen. And that is where all the hoops that you're jumping through for that not to transpire like that is starting to happen. You are changing who you are in that moment to try to ensure that that is not going to pan out like that, as if you're omniscient. So these sentences are just some of them. There are millions of sentences, and I would love for you to write into the comment section what sentences you usually say or think that is kind of indicating to you what you are fearful about, but also that turned out to be kind of like a beacon back to you about that this is where I think I'm omniscient. I know what will happen. I'm trying to ensure or secure something that will not pan out in a certain way. And that is why I say this sentence or I think this sentence. So there are many, many more. And a lot of them will be some way you will realize that, oh, wow, I heard that as a kid all the time. Like, be careful, be careful. If you hear that, be careful. And I hear me shout that out to my granddaughter, right? Say that to my children, like, be careful. Say it to Todd when he's driving out somewhere, be careful, because underneath that, there's so much fear about what will happen. And it's so self-referential, what will happen to me if I lose them, or what will happen to them if they get hurt. So that you have to be careful is one of the sentences. Another one is, I don't trust him, or I don't trust her, or I don't trust it. That there is like, again, I just want to emphasize that it's not that you should just blindly, go into a white unmarked van in a dark alley, it's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm just talking about that, putting a floodlight to your underlying beliefs about reality. So when there's that feeling of, I feel unsafe here, it doesn't mean that you're not unsafe. It doesn't mean that you are safe and you should just, off to the races. Not at all. Is that caution that we have in us where we think that something will happen that I need to ensure and be careful about. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it or you should do it. It's not the conversation we're having at all. It's just to become aware of those underlying thoughts that are constantly going on behind the scene where you're not even aware of it. It's also the ones that I can't, or I don't feel, or I won't, or I don't know, or anytime where doubt is being expressed. And doubt is when we have two underlying beliefs that are equally strong and they're pulling against one another. So something that you really want to do, but on the other hand, you really don't want to do it because something. So there are two equally strong underlying beliefs that are pulling in opposite directions. That is when doubt is happening. And the entire second curriculum is about doubt. So it's every time you have a verbal hoop that is setting up a scene where something is perceived to be in a certain way. It should be like this. Reality is perceived to be in a different way. And we need to navigate from here to there. That is when there is like what I call verbal hoops, because we are removing ourselves from what actually is present right now. So what is actually here right now? There's an underlying belief about something. Now, another way you can hear is also when you start to explain things. Explaining is very often tied in with fear, because we feel that we need to justify why we do things in a certain way, why we are in a certain way. We need to justify that, because just saying no on its own is not, I can't do that. I need to explain why I'm saying no. And again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't explain at all. I just want you to become aware of those motivations that are lying deep, deep in you that you're not even aware of. 95% of you is subconscious. You're not even aware of it. You're not even aware that this is what is happening under the hood. And it might be what is making working with the awakening curriculum really, really complicated, because we're working with a lot of all this shadow stuff that is just hiding underneath, that you're not aware of, that is actually the driving force for everything. So whenever you have that feeling of fear, I would like for you to slow down, zoom in. Notice what is actually happening in your body, not your thoughts about it, but what is actually happening right now. You feel a contraction, you feel a tension, things are perceived to be in a certain way. Breathe into that. Tell yourself it's okay. It's completely okay to feel like this. This is an old survival mechanism that used to make you safe. It might not be useful anymore. It might just be an echo from the past that is not relevant at all anymore. So calm yourself down, first of all, by acknowledging this is how it is, and it's okay. It's okay. Then reassure yourself that I'm here. I'm right here. No matter how fearful you feel right now, no matter how much you believe that you need to do this in a certain sequence, it's okay. I got your back. You can completely continue doing this in a certain sequence. It's completely fine. And by that, you allow for the underlying belief to dissolve. So you're not motivated by fear anymore. Now, I also want to emphasize that it does not mean that you should stop being fearful or you should stop having OCD. It's not at all what I'm pointing to. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with OCD. There's nothing wrong with being fearful. Not at all. The issue that happens is when, and a lot of things happen when we have a resistance to what actually is, and then we start to have a resistance to the resistance. So I don't want to have OCD. Well, you do. You do. Can you love yourself with OCD? Can you love yourself with whatever is here? And completely reassure yourself that it's absolutely okay. Nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to happen. You're completely fine as you are. You don't need to be any different. You don't need to do any different. What is right now, it's completely fine. And by that, the fear of it dissolves, because you're no longer fighting with reality. Reality is as it is, and it's completely okay. And you're completely okay.